Hey guys, welcome back to the Shroom Corner. So I wanted to show you guys real quick my setup. Basically, I wanted to do a little fishy vlog. I've never done one of these, and I thought it'd be cool to maybe do a few of these and let you guys know basically what I've got coming up, what's going down in the fish room. Now, I've never shown anyone except for a few fish keepers, breeders. I've never actually showed anyone my fish room, like not completely. I'm pretty private, and so I've had a few people wanting to do tours of my fish room, you know, naturally. This hobby is really great where you meet a lot of people and you guys share, you know, a lot of things, you trade stuff, and it's been really awesome. I've met a lot of really cool people that want to help out, and it's been really great because I can definitely use the help. If I showed you guys my fish room, and what it used to be, it's a big transformation, and I've done everything myself, which I'm proud of, but it's been a lot of hard work, and I am only one person, not particularly fit either, and it's been really difficult as I do have physical issues that stop me from doing a lot of work. So it's taken some time, but I wanted to show you guys, for those people that you know, maybe are by themselves and also have to work their fish room out, but also just to show you guys because I think it's really cool and I want to share this experience with you, and I want to give you guys a little bit of a insight into what I'm up to. So this is, at the moment, what I'm showing you guys is my new 4-foot cichlid tank. Yes, this is going to be a cichlid tank. I won't tell you guys what cichlids. I'm going to leave that as a surprise. I'm going to leave a little bit mystery with a lot of things actually, and surprise you guys at the end of it. So far, I have set this tank up, as you guys can see. Now, you can see it's definitely cloudy. This was set up 3 days ago now, so I've just put in, as you can see, a double sponge filter right there. That's just a standard Aqua One large double sponge filter. I've got some stone in here. I've got some gorgeous white sand, as you can see. This sand is absolutely stunning. It's so crystal white. I didn't want to get like the Bunnings play sand because that says it's white, but it's almost like an off brown, and you really got to have really strong lighting to get it to a white color, whereas this is, if you saw it in the bag, it's like pure white sand. It looks amazing. The camera's not doing it justice, really. Now, I want to walk you through this this setup real quick. So this tank, like I said, is a 4-foot. Now it's a low line tank. It's not a standard tank, so it should be higher. Normally, it's usually a 4-foot by 2-foot. This is half of that size. So instead of being 60 centimeters higher, it's not. It's half of that. So it's only 4-foot by 30 centimeters on each side. So it's still 4-foot wide though, so I'm planning to get just a few cichlids in here and make it really pretty. This is basically going to be a display tank on my breeder rack. So the bottom half of this is a breeder rack really, but I wanted to do something a bit different. So I did sell my community tank, which if you guys have been following me for a while, you would have seen I had a community tank that used to live here in this area, and I sold all of my fish and everything so I could get this and start getting some breeding projects going, which I've been wanting to do for quite a while. So you got to sacrifice things sometimes in this hobby to move forward. Sometimes that's how it is when you don't have the funds, because this can be a very expensive hobby. So again, I'm doing this as a little bit of a tutorial, or basically explain what my experience is, so you guys can see how maybe you might be in the same predicament and how to maybe go about it. So I got this tank secondhand, pretty cheap. I've cleaned it a bit. It does have some markings, but that's because I haven't treated the tank just yet, so I've not cleaned it or anything. I've just done the cleaning on the outside before I filled it. If you see here, we've got some foam buildup. This is because I did not wash this sand. Now, if you guys saw it 3 days ago when I put it in, it was so cloudy you couldn't see through it at all. So I highly recommend you wash your sand first. Even if it says it's been pre-washed, wash it again, and you will see that it will come out milky white water. Keep doing that until your water runs clear in a bucket with a hose, and then just drain it, and then repeat the process 6 to 10 times if you need to, because what will happen is it will cloud your filters up, and it'll cloud up your tank, and it'll just take a lot longer for you to be able to have the right water to start cycling. Now, because of that cloudiness, basically what I've done is, as you can see, I've put in 2 rather cheap small internal filters I had laying around. I took them from other tanks which didn't need them, and I've just put these in, and these are basically my my temporary filters. Now these are going to do all the work. They're just internal filters, meaning there's just sponge in there, but they're enough to do enough work where they're just pushing the water, which is great. That's what I want. I want the circulation that they're going to give. And these are pretty powerful actually for little tiny filters. As you can see, there's a decent amount of surface agitation just from that little one right there. This one has to be on the top to do it, but it's fallen down. So they're both the Aqua One brand, I believe. That one's a mini, I think, the 104 maybe, and this one's like a bigger one. I can't remember the exact model of this one. But basically I've just put these from a different tank, like I said, and in 3 days, these along with the brand new sponge filter. Now these were previously in tanks before. This is a brand new filter out of the packet. These have cleared up this tank fairly substantially, as you can see, in 3 days. There is a bit of foam up there, like I said. So what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to do a, I don't know, maybe a 40%, 30 to 40% water change. Get rid of all that foam, which this you can take out with a net. But what I want to do is I want to remove those particles out of the water. And the way that you remove particles out of the water to get that crystal clean, clear, pristine water is usually media filtration. So this doesn't have any of that type of media. It's, like I said, it's just sponge filters basically. So I've ordered a canister filter that's going to be going onto this unit. It's a UVS canister, which stands for UV sterilization. So we'll have all the works basically. It will sterilize all the algae that can, well, not all of it, but it'll do a good job of basically minimizing your algae and having a significant reduction. Previously I had a canister filter on my community tank, and I mean I did also have algae eating fish as well, but I think the UV canister filters are amazing and I would highly recommend them. You do use a lot of the UV and some of them can burn out quickly, so you have to replace the UV globes, but again I would still highly recommend, if you can get one and afford it, because they are a bit pricier than a regular canister usually. If you can, I highly recommend getting it. It just makes your life so much easier, especially if you want something like this. You want pristine, clear water, you want a display tank to look lovely, you know, maybe in your dining room or your lounge room or something. You don't want to have algae spots everywhere. So I got a UV canister. Now, I also paid significantly more for my UV canister filter than my original ones that I bought for my my 3-foot tank. I bought an Aqua One brand. I won't tell you guys exactly which one it is, because what I'm going to do is give you guys an unboxing actually when that arrives. So stay tuned for that. I have ordered it, so when that arrives I will do an unboxing, and I will also give you the pros and cons with my first impressions of the new filter compared to the old filter that I used. So I'll give you a bit of a comparison as well, because the other one was again a lot cheaper. I think the first one I got was about $100. And it was a big size canister filter, fairly big. And then this one's cost me $170. So quite a significant price jump, but hopefully it'll be worth it. So again, I will give you guys an unboxing of that and talk more in detail when that arrives. So until then, I've just got these filters running again, just to keep the water circulated, to keep it sort of filtering and keep it clear long enough for me to do a water change. And then once I have the canister filter, what I'll do is I'll do a 30 to 40% water change. I will replenish it with crystal clear RO water, because I use RO. And then I will start cycling it, meaning I will dose it with bacteria. I will start putting sponge, I'll put sponge in the canister filter that is already used. You guys can also do this by going to your local aquarium. And you can ask them for a dirty sponge basically. They'll give you a used sponge, because they run a lot of sumps and they have big giant sponges. So if you have a canister filter or you buy a canister filter, you can go to your local aquarium most of the time and specifically ask them for a used sponge basically. And that will come with a bunch of bacteria, and beneficial bacteria will be growing on the sponge, and it'll have all that surface area in there, and you can chuck that right into your canister filter. If you really want to also, if you don't want to have a new canister filter, what you can do is you can just chuck it right into your tank as is. You can just chuck the sponge in, squeeze it a few times, get your tank nice and dirty, get that ammonia in there, but then also have all that beneficial bacteria ready to eat it back up, and then it'll process through your water column. And essentially that's a good way to also kickstart your cycle and get it done a lot quicker. I've used that method plenty of times. It is messy and it does seem alarming, but it does work also. The other thing obviously you can do is you can do fishless cycle, you can do a fish in cycle. Honestly, I usually do fish in cycles. It just takes too long. I don't have the time. I run breeding tanks, you know, like besides the display tank. Even with a display tank, I've waited long enough setting it up. I don't really want to wait 3 weeks to cycle it. So I usually get the fish in method, but I also try the sponges. We try and do the sponges first, and then if that doesn't work, I usually chuck in a few tetra, and then that'll do the job. So anyway, this is the 4-foot tank, like I said. As at the moment, it's not decorated, obviously. I just had these rocks that I bought for it. Also, if someone remembers what these rocks are called, I don't remember. This one I got because it reminds me of kryptonite. I know it's black, not green. I think this one is actually a little bit different. I don't remember what these ones are called. So if someone knows what they're called, drop it in the comments for me. Thank you very much. So that's the 4-foot tank. Now, basically, like I said, this is going to be a breeding rack. It's pretty big. It's a large rack. If I could move back, I'd show you guys, but I've actually, as you can see, if I pan over, I've got another giant rack in the middle here waiting to be set up, and I've got tanks down there. It's a lot going on. So as you can see, it's busy. So basically, this is going to be the breeding section of it. So I've got 2-foot tanks set up. This will be a mystery breeding tank. Again, not going to tell you guys what I'm going to put in here, but I'm excited about it. And again, look, they're 2-foot tanks. They're not that big. So of course, you can imagine I'm not going to be putting giant fish in here, but I am excited about what is going to go in here, and starting these breeding projects is going to be really fun. So let's pan over. So again, this is this rack. Now, let's move over to this rack, which, as you can see, hasn't actually been put together just yet. I did this tonight, so this is just a rough, basically, mock-up of the rack. So what we're doing is we're replacing the shrimp rack with this new rack, and the reason being is because it's sturdier, it's stronger, it can hold more weight capacity, which is what I want because I'm upgrading the shrimp tanks. And it's a bit longer as well, so it'll give me more bench space. I love my bench space. Highly recommend, if you're going to do a rack, to give yourself enough space. I've seen a lot of racks where they're so stacked, and I have no idea how people work around them, but I'm not, again, a particularly fit person, so I can't be like trying to do aerobics to get to the other side and all that stuff. So I want things to be as clean and clear and simple as possible, as easy as possible. So I like space. As you can see, this is my rack at the moment. So we've got the bottom rack with the shrimp tanks. Now, if you've noticed, all my shrimp tanks have a color-coded sticker to tell you what's in there, such as this one. That's the golden bees. If we pan over here, we've got the black cherries. Now, these have actually been sold, so a customer will be picking these ones up. And then I've got the yellows, Bloody Mary, and your green jades. Now, I've sold off, as you can see, my blue dream colony. That is gone. I will not be breeding blue dreams anymore, so you guys are aware. At least not in the near future. I don't plan to breed with blue dreams again. So it's possible, maybe in the future sometime I will pick them up again, because they are awesome little shrimp and they are quite popular. But so you guys know, I will not be carrying the blue dreams anymore. I will only be providing the green jades, Bloody Mary, golden yellows, and snowballs, which are the cherry in here, and of course the snow whites or golden bees, as you can see. Now, this tank, like I said, these tanks, these are just the Nano 27 Petworks. They're all the same. All my shrimp tanks are the same tank, but they will be upgraded to these tanks, as you can see. Now, they look longer and maybe bigger. I don't know if you guys can tell, but they're actually not that much bigger. So in terms of water capacity, the Petworks ones, these ones are 20 litres, and these ones are 22 litres. Now, this is exactly what I wanted. What I wanted to do was upgrade in a way that basically I have more front room. So the reason these tanks would be awesome is because what I'm going to be doing is able to, first of all, have this beautiful, long, elongated surface display, so I can see everything a lot better. I can spread things out a lot better. Now, shrimp don't need that much space. Again, that's why I have the nano tanks. But because I'm a breeder and I want to make things easier, it's just not really possible. Well, it is possible, but it's not easy to breed hundreds of shrimp in these tanks. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not again, not easy in terms of maintenance unless you heavily plant them, and again, then that would be really hard to catch shrimp. So these are all like low tech. As you can see, my tanks are designed specifically to basically just have your gravel, your sponge filter, and a bit of moss. That was the whole plan initially, was to just have them like that. It wasn't meant to be fancy. I wasn't meant to put ornaments and decorations in there. It was just meant to be the basics and very simple for breeding, because that's what I'm doing. Now, these tanks are going to be basically the same, but again, I've just got that more space to work with. And the thing that I love about these, because they're short on the sides, they're a little bit shorter actually than those, I'm really going to be able to see everything pushed up to the front, and then when I'm catching them, it's always going to be pushing them up to the front. So it's going to be a lot easier, and there's not that much depth that I have to work with, as opposed, as well as obviously the rack over here that hasn't been put together. That's going to help heaps. So it's all going to be a system that's going to work really great. It's just all in progress at the moment. As you can see, there are just tanks all over the floor. So these are the shrimp tanks that you can see. I have put the backgrounds on pretty much all of them. I have to redo a few of them so you can see right there, but they look pretty dope, and they got these little like little handles for the lids, which are pretty cute. But yes, basically this rack, the OG rack, will be replaced with the new rack, which again is going to hold more weight because those tanks are a bit bigger. They have 22 liters in capacity, which is slightly bigger. And I'm excited about that. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted just a little bit more. I could have gone up a size and got like 50 centimeter tanks. But then I was like, if I'm going to do that, I might as well just do 2 foot. And 2 foot is just too much. Yes, I could fit it. I could certainly fit 4 2-foot tanks and have done it that way. But I didn't really want that much space. I think this is a nice in-between from upgrading from a nano, but still keeping it quite small. These are still, I would still consider these nano tanks, to be fair. To me, these are not a standard size tank. This is still a nano tank. It's just shaped differently. So that's basically the project we have going on. Now, again, I will have my Snow White golden bees. I will have my snowballs, my green jades, my super crystal reds, my Bloody Marys, my golden bees, my golden yellows, and up the top here, I will actually be putting some guppy tanks, get those going. So I will have my adult guppy breeders, and then I will have my guppy babies basically in tubs. Now, if you have a look over here real quick, there's the red tuxedo koi tub. It's empty at the moment because I've sold out, of course. So, but basically this is what the system's going to be. So this rack is going to house your adult guppies up here in pairs or trios or whatever I have at the time. So the red tuxedos will go up here, the 24Ks will go up here, possibly the Japanese blue endlers. I'm not sure about them yet. I'll probably just put the 2 up here just for now. And then the rest of the rack is going to be shrimp. So the middle part of the rack is just going to be the Snow Whites. I just want to give them their own space and then use the rest of this as bench space. As you can see, it's a bit of a mess here, but I've got my stuff that I use. I like having bench space to work with. Again, I never understand how people have racks and they're just stacked. And I mean, I get that they look beautiful in a display way, but then you've got to move somewhere else to get all your stuff. And with me, I am limited on space. If I did show you guys and I showed you exactly how much space I have to work with, I really have utilized everything. So I've actually made like a little tool section where I have all the tools that I use, my nets, my aquascaping kits, all that sort of stuff. I have a little section for that, and then this is just the stuff that I use immediately, usually, that stays up here. So I prefer, like I said, to have a bench space, especially, again, if you're going to be using it as a breeding rack. I highly recommend having it because you want to put your jug there or your bucket and then catch your shrimp and make it a lot easier for yourself, rather than having to try and hold the bucket and then migrate somewhere else. And it's just a lot easier to work the bench space into the rack that you buy. Whether that means getting a rack that is longer, so you have that space on at least one of your racks. So my bottom rack, which will be raised higher, of course, that won't have bench space. That'll be completely taken. The middle one will have bench space, and the top one will have a little bit of bench space also, most likely. Unless I do decide to put the endless up there, then it won't. But again, I will still have that middle in between the 2 shelves, and from there I can work with it a lot easier. The main reason why I'm upgrading the rack, if you're asking, is not just because I want to make the tanks bigger, but also because technically this rack could support the weight, I think, but I just wasn't 100% sure. And if you're not sure, guys, just try and get something upgraded, because the last thing you want to do is have everything crash down. So just make sure your rack can handle the weight capacity you're putting on there. To give you an idea, 1 liter is 1 kilo of weight. So that's an easy way to measure it. The reason I'm upgrading it is because this rack was an absolute nightmare. Now, I don't know what this rack is called, but it was a cheaper rack. And when I say cheaper rack, I don't mean it was cheap. It just was cheaper than the other ones. When I started, it was very expensive to do the whole, garage. As you can see, it's been insulated, and that cost me a lot of money to get this back into startup. So I couldn't afford to get the priciest items on everything. As you can imagine, I've got, I had 5 Petworks tanks, and that's just the tanks alone, the lighting, chola wood, mosses. These things all add up. People think that shrimp are super cheap and easy. They can be, depending how you do it, but I didn't do it that way. For example, this little Fissidon's moss right here, this would cost you about $15 to $25 for that little rock alone. Now, that's just an example. So, the chola wood, for example, chola wood covered in subwater tank behind here, this would cost you about $25. So, again, just giving you guys little examples. You don't need to use that stuff, but I have used it. So, the reason that I'm upgrading again, just circling back to that real quick, is not just because I wanted to make bigger tank sizes, so it made it easier in terms of, again, how I'm viewing it, how I'm catching my shrimp, how they're breeding maybe. So just giving them generally more space, and also the water capacity. Again, that 2 liters is perfect for me. I didn't want a massive upgrade in water. I just wanted a little bit, because again, the more water you put, also you got to think the more water changes and the more water you're using, and then your bills go up. So the point is to make it financially sufficient, and that's the whole point, is to make it more productive, to have an efficient, productive system going as a breeder. But the main reason is because this shelf is just such poor quality. Like I said, I'm nervous every time I touch it. It does say it can handle the weight, but I have noticed that the bottom shelf has bowed a little bit. Again, I probably could have put the weight on here and got away with it, but I would rather just be safe than sorry. But again, I would have had to adjust it, because as you can see how low they are, it's made it extremely difficult for me to vac these tanks with how low I did them. Now, that was my mistake, my first time doing it. I did do a lot of research. I don't know, I just thought I could, because I've got, as you can see, my tubs are on the floor, and sometimes it's hit and miss. So usually if you have anything on the floor, it's extremely difficult to vac it. I can vac that though, but then I can't really I can vac these, but it's difficult. It doesn't really get enough suction because of the height level. So you need to have, basically, your tank has to be above the height of your siphon going down, and that's not. So the new rack is going to be designed where it's starting about here, so it's a lot higher, here. So it's a lot higher to begin with, so I've got that nice flow of suction. Basically, everything will be stacked up, and keep going that way. All these products will be removed and pushed into the other rack, the breeder rack at the bottom. That'll be storage. And this will be replaced, like I said, with the guppies. So the new rack, if you can imagine it, will look a bit something like this, but just better. So basically, guys, so far, that's what I'm going to show you. Like I said, these are the tanks. This is the rack. I don't want to show you guys everything. Like I said, the room is a bit of a mess, but it's getting done. And again, this is the new breeder rack. So it's a work in progress, very much so. I know everything looks rough right now, but again, I still wanted to do the upload and show you guys what it's really like in the world of a fish keeper's life. So this is what it's really like. It's an absolute mess sometimes, but you work things out and then it ends up looking amazing, and it's all worth it in the end. But it is hard work. So anyone thinking about getting into this hobby, I highly recommend, especially young people, definitely get your parents to help you out if you can. It's a really awesome hobby to get into. Even if you're just trying to make a bit of pocket money or just enjoying your fish, it's really awesome. If you're trying to do it as a serious breeder, you would definitely need a bigger space than I have, and a lot of big tanks, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of investment. Like, it's a lot of startup money. You've got to, spend money to make money, as they say, and it can be very expensive to do certain things and breed certain fish. So anyway, guys, that's enough for me. I just wanted to show you guys. I'm really excited about this tank, really. That was really what I wanted to show you. I'm super excited. Oh, also, I forgot I put a little air stone in there just to add surface agitation. I want to have the water as good as possible and primed, in the sense that I want it to be doing what it naturally will be doing when it's going. So the moment, basically, like I said, the canister arrives, I will take out the sponge filter. That sponge filter is actually going to go into that tank. I'll take out these little tiny filters, and the best thing is that these ones are basically, like I said, they're sponge, so it's easy for me to take this out, wring out any microparticles of sand that might have got caught in there, wring all that out, and have it nice and clean. And then that way, when I get my new canister filter, even though that is the purpose, I will go into it basically with cleaner water, so I'm not clogging up my good filter. I'm using the cheap filters I don't need. So it's just a smart way to do it. Again, if I was really smart, I would have washed the sand, but even with washing the sand, it still would have been a little bit cloudy. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it is still cloudy. So yeah, I would recommend doing that. If you have filters lying around and you're doing what I'm doing, order your canister filter, put in a cheap filter, be patient, wait a couple of days, let it clear up as much as possible, do a 30% water change or 50%, whatever you want, and then start it properly. Then you put your canister, hook everything up, do it how you want it, then you condition your water, then you start your cycle. So you're basically keeping, again, it's a maintenance thing, it's productivity. You're keeping your equipment a bit longer, you're saving yourself, having to do that canister change a little bit sooner than later. So that's basically what I'm doing, because again, these are disposable, I don't care about them, so that's why I did this. So anyway, that's my fish vlog for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it to the end, I really appreciate it. I will do another one of these, like I said, and look out for that unboxing, because that should be here early next week. I'm very excited to do that, so I'll do an unboxing for you guys, and you can see exactly what I'm using pretty much, and I can try and help you guys as much as I can if this is something that you're thinking of doing. And the rack, by the way, gorgeous. Look at this blue. Looks lovely. Can't wait to get the other one and show you guys. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys later.